Good afternoon. Today is the 5th of July and it's time to do something that we do every single month on this channel. Look at the top 10 best-selling cars of June 2022. With the continuing shortage of both new and second-hand cars on the UK market, it's probably no surprise to find that the overall sales have decreased between June 2021 and 2022 by about 24%. What we'll do in this video, as we always do, we will look at the mix of power sources for the new cars that were sold last month using the data from the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. Then what we'll do is we'll look at the breakdown between the private, fleet and business sectors. Then we'll look at the actual top 10 best-selling cars of June 2022. There are some surprises, and then we will look at how each individual brand on the market is currently performing. I do hope you find it enlightening. So, one of the reasons why on the channel we don't talk about cars with diesel engines is because the sales are just in absolute freefall. Even between June 2021 and last month, the market share has gone from 8.1 to 5.7%. Percentage change of that is actually about 47%. Number of cars has gone from about 15,000 to 8,000. Obviously that percentage looks a bit different because the overall sales on the market are actually significant down on last year. But nevertheless, if you look at, for example, the number of battery electric cars which is sold, it has actually increased, and so has the market share. So just pull this up a little bit. There we go. The battery electric vehicles have gone from 10.7% of the market in June 2021 to 16% of the market last month, and that increase is quite significant. In fact, it's 14.6%, and the market is declining by 24.3%. Number of cars sold has gone from 20,000 to 23,000. Looking at petrol cars, a little bit of a decrease really, but in terms of percentage of market share, a small decrease from 46 to 44, but the overall percentage change, because the market is dropped by such a lot, almost a quarter. It's actually 28%, and 86,000 cars to 62,000 cars. With a mild hybrid forbidden fuel engines, as we don't talk about the diesels, that is a segment that I don't think is going to continue for much longer, particularly. Used to be things like the Kia Sportage, Hyundai Tucson, some Audis had those engines, but that's not going to continue for too much longer, I don't think. I mean, overall, the mixture of power sources, it hasn't got very long to stay like this anyway, because by 2030 they won't be allowed to sell new fossil fuel cars without any form of electrical system. The only ones that will be available for sale, according to current plans, will be battery electric cars and some plug-in hybrids. Nobody actually knows. So I don't think this particular power source is going to last much longer. Market share has dropped from 6.1 to 5. The overall change is minus 39% anyway, and the number of cars in that category has gone from 11,000 to 7,000. Mild hybrid petrol, that's actually stayed relatively steady in terms of the market share. It's just been affected generally by the fact that more battery electric cars have been sold and the market is in decline. So the percentage change is about 26%. The market share has gone from about 13.5 to 13. Number of cars sold though looks more dramatic. It's gone from 25,000 to about 19,000. The plug-in hybrid still, we're in a situation now as of at some point in last month that there are no incentives available for electrified cars at all. Even battery electric cars, that government grant is gone. Plug-in hybrid grant went a long time ago. Nevertheless, the sales are still relatively healthy, although they're not increasing in the same way that cars powered solely by batteries, and hybrid cars, that's not mild hybrid cars, that's just hybrid cars, or a full hybrid, I would call them. I don't use this term self-charging hybrid. I think it's a total misnomer, even though some companies like that. I never use that term. So we just call them standard hybrids or full hybrids, depending on what you want to say. So though that segment has gone from 8.7% to 10%, and only declined by 7.3% in a market that's quarter down, and number of cars has gone from 16,000 sold up to 15,000 sold, so not very significant. With the plug-in hybrids, that's gone from 6.5 to 5.5% in the market. Percentage change is about 37 down, and the number of cars sold, I should say registered, but I say sold, I mean registered. Most people just understand the fact that I mean the same thing when I say that. It just sounds better than just keep saying registered all the time. So yes, in 2021 that category was quite big. It's 12,000. Now it's just shy of 8,000 really. So yes, a market segment which I don't know if that will be in decline perpetually or not. It's really hard to say at the moment really. Private sector is actually larger than it was last year. It's gone from 48 to 49% of the market, but because of the number of cars sold has decreased anyway, it's a 22% decrease on June 2021, 89,000 to 69,000. The fleet segment has gone from 50% to 48%. That's a 28% decrease. It's gone from 93,000 to 67,000. And the business sector, which is very small in this country anyway, it's actually gone from 2.4% to 3% of the market. So it has actually increased slightly, or the number of cars sold has gone down from 4,500 to about 4,300. That's about a 5% decrease. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. So let's get the bit out of the way that most of you actually clicked on this video for, unless you're a regular viewer, in which case you'll know exactly what's coming up anyway. The top seller, it's no surprise actually, it's a Vauxhall Corsa, just over 5,000 cars sold. The second one, it's not exactly a surprise because the way Tesla actually registered their cars is totally different from everybody else in this country. They're all registered by the UK arm of Tesla rather than individual franchises of dealerships, and they all come in on shipments all at once. So it's actually 4,200 cars sold, which has a Model Y in second place for last month, and that's one of, I think, the first batches of Ys to come into this country. And when they come in, they massively skew the figures. So for example, I've got the year-to-date figures here. I don't even read these out, but the Tesla Model Y has gone straight in at number 10 just because of this batch coming in and being registered all at once by Tesla UK themselves. The next is the Mini on about 3,000 cars sold. Fourth is the Qashqai, no surprise there. One of the best sellers in this country for years. Just under 3,000 when the Mini was just over 3,000. Volkswagen Golf just over 2,950 in fifth position. Then just below 2,950 in sixth position. So the lower half of the table is incredibly close together this month. Is the Ford Puma. Now that massively outsells the Fiesta. You will not see the Fiesta in this top 10. I don't think it's been any top 10 this year at all. Then the Kia Nero, that might be some of the older models and the new one. The new one has just come out. Then the Sportage, Kia is a very popular brand in this country at the moment. So the Nero is just under 2,900, the Sportage just under 2,800, and just under 2,750 is the MGHS. It's the first time I've ever seen an MGHS in the top 10. Again, I think it's to do with the patents for which they were ordered. There's been massive delays with MGs, particularly electrified ones like the HS PHEV and the ZS EV and the MG5 EV. The MG5 EV has stopped being sold now while they wait a new one to come out in September, along with the MG4, which is a brand new car in a new segment from MG actually. So that's interesting. We might see some more MDs in the top 10. Who knows? We'll look at the individual manufacturer results soon as well. And then just under 2700 is for Hyundai Tucson. Again, no particular stranger to the top 10, and also the twin sister of the Kia Sportage. So we have now an opportunity to look at how each manufacturer is performing. Bear in mind the market is down by just under a quarter, so anything above about 24.3% means the sales are actually performing well. Although the first brand on the list, which is Abarth, because it's the number one in the A to Z, for obvious reasons, they're not doing very well. Their market share's stayed very steady. It's only gone from 0.2 to 0.19. The number of cars sold though has gone from 376 to 267, and that's a 29% decrease. We've only got one model really on sale effectively, the Fiat 595 and 695 versions, which are based on the older style Fiat 500. I don't mean the one from 57 or the Topolino before that. I mean the one that was introduced in 2007, which is actually based on the Mark, I think we call it the Mark III Panda that came out in 2003. So it's extraordinary really that platform's had such a long life, but I reckon that will be going very soon. Alfa Romeo, same group of companies as Abarth, Stellantis as well. They've actually done okay. Their market share has actually increased from 0.1 to 0.11. Number of cars sold as well has declined from 180 to 159, and that's a 12% decrease. Alpine, very good, but they're such a small seller in this country though that an increase 112% only means that it's gone from 25 to 53 cars. Audi, not a great month for Audi or BMW, to be honest. Audi had this time last year a 7.8% market share. That's now 5.5. Number of cars sold is almost half, from 14,500 to 7,700. Extraordinary. That's a 47% decrease. Conversely, Bentley, who are in the same group of companies as Audi, they've had a very good month, and their market share has actually doubled, more than doubled, from 0.04 to 0.1. Number of cars sold has gone from 80 to 145. It's an 81% increase. Bentley is not the same group of companies as BMW though, although they have their own British brands, Mini and Rolls-Royce. Mini we'll look at later, but BMW itself, 33% decrease. Their market share has gone from 7.6 to 6.7. Number of cars sold has gone from 14,000 to 9,500. Citroën, really average month for Citroën. Their market share has gone from 1.75 to 1.71. Number of cars sold has gone from 3,250 to 2,400. That's a 26% decrease. That's almost bang on average, although Deus, the sister brand, is doing better. Cupra, one of those sister brands in the massive Volkswagen empire, they've gone from 0.57% of the market to 0.87. Number of cars sold is actually physically increased, from about 1,100 to about 1,200, and the market, the percentage of market share increase is 60%, so very good. Not as good though as Dacia. They have absolutely and utterly flown in this last month. They've gone from 0.6% of the market to 1.7. Number of cars sold has gone from 1,100 to 2,400, and that's a 121% increase. 121% increase. That's probably due to the jogger, which I'm hoping at some point this year to get my hands on one of those. Deus itself, we did promise we'd do this. 85% increase, 0.1% in the market, 0.25, and 200 cars to 350. So a very, very good month for them. Not so good for Fiat, 32% decrease. I don't really know if they have any sort of brand new models sort of in the pipeline. I mean, we've got obviously the 500 electric. I think that's the latest one that was launched. But everything else is kind of, warmed over versions of things like the 500X, 500L, the Tipo, which I'm very fond of. That's only available as, I think it's going to be a 1.5 hybrid soon, but there's a 1 liter mild hybrid on sale at the moment. Not really a lot to say really apart from that. Market share's gone from 1.7 to 1.5. Number of cars sold has gone from 3,000 to 2,100. The market share's decreased by 32%. Ford, not a great month for Ford either. In June 2021, they sold 14,200 cars. They were just behind Audi. Now they've had a 31% decrease. Their market share has gone from 7.65 to 7. Number of cars sold has gone from about 14,200 to just under 10,000. Genesis, interestingly, for the first time I've seen, they've got comparable figures from 1 month to the next. June 2021 must have been the first time the Genesis registered any of their press fleet in this country, so we can actually compare it. It's quite an irrelevant comparison in a way, because they only registered 27 cars in last June, whereas last month they registered 111. So they now have an increase of 311%, which I don't think is possibly going to happen in June 2023, but you never know. Honda, unlike Genesis, they've had an enormous decline. I mean, they make some really nice cars. I'm hoping to do an HRV at some point this year, the new one, because that looks really good. But they've gone from 1.72% of the market to 0.88. They've gone from 3,200 to 1,200 cars, and their market share has decreased by 61%, so not great. Hyundai, though, have stayed very steady. They've only had a 0.5% decrease, which means actually their market share has increased because the market overall is down. So they were 4.16, they're now 5.46%. And number of cars sold has gone from just over 7,700, just under 7,700, so remarkably consistent. We like Hyundai and Kia in this country, and personally I find those are the easiest cars to recommend to clients when I'm sourcing them. Jaguar and Land Rover, it's not all bad news. Jaguar itself is not doing too good. They have decreased by 51%. Their market share has gone from 1.27 to 0.82. Number of cars sold is actually kind of more than half though, from 2,400 to about 1,200. Jeep, not doing that well, but just above average. The market share is exactly the same at 0.25. Number of cars sold though has gone from 458 to 358, and that's a 23% decrease. Kia has held its own remarkably. They've actually increased the number of cars sold, and of course both the Nero and the Sportage on the top 10. Maybe that's not surprising. So it's 0.46%. Their market share though has gone from just under 5% to just over 6.5%. Number of cars sold has gone from just under 9,200, just over 9,200. I'll just see quickly here if they've overtaken Ford. Not quite, but very close to Ford now. Land Rover, a much better month than they've had of late. 9% increase. Their market share has gone from 2% to 3%. Number of cars sold has gone from just under 3,800 to just over 4,100. So very good. Lexus, kind of similar to Honda. They are another brand from Japan that's just not doing particularly well over here for whatever reason, because they make some very good cars, rather like Honda. They are expensive though in both cases. So 0.8% of the market is now 0.4. Number of cars sold though it's like a third. It's about 1,500 to 500, and the market share has gone down by 62%. Maserati, they've had a very good month, but when you're talking about going from 69 to 101 cars, and that's a 46% increase, that's some very small numbers. They're not a massive brand in this country. Mazda also becoming less of a brand, it seems like. They had a very good June last year. Last month, not so good. 59% decrease, 1.85% down to 1% of the market. Number of cars sold has gone down from 3,400 to 1,400. Not really what they wanted, I imagine. Mercedes-Benz, almost exactly average in terms of the decline, gone down from 9,000 to 6,700. Market share has dropped from 4.83 to 4.73%. It's a 26% decrease, so just worse than average. MG with the HS in the top 10, you'd expect them to do quite well, and well, they have done well. They've gone from 1.5% of the market to almost 4%. A number of cars sold has got up by 90%, from 2,800 to 5,400. And you know, they've got a company that has massive supply problems at the moment. So if they didn't have supply problems, goodness knows how many they'd sell. Nissan, not too bad, only a decrease of 10%. But of course, because of the market overall decreasing, their market share has gone from 3.2 to 3.8%. Number of cars sold, though, has gone down from 5,900 to 5,300. Peugeot, kind of similar sort of story with them, really. 13% decrease. Number of cars sold has gone from 6,000 approximately to 5,400, and the market share has gone up from 3.35 to 3.84. Polestar, not really a brand that registered many cars in 2021, so registering 553 cars for them last month represented a 239% increase on 2021. So the market share has gone from about 0.1 to about 0.4, so very, very good. Porsche, actually quite a lot of cars sold last month for a relatively small manufacturer, 103% increase indeed. 0.4% market share up to 1.1, 772 to 1564, so very good. Renault almost exactly on average, like so many brands actually at the moment. They've had a 25% decrease. The market share is almost exactly the same, about 1.58%. The number of cars sold has gone down from 2940 to 2210. Seat, Seat seems to be a brand on decline in this country for some reason. I don't really understand why. They do make some good cars, but maybe people are looking for something that's a little bit sort of cheaper. That's why Dacia and MG are doing so well. I don't know, but I have had a couple of Seats, and in fact the first video ever on this channel was my 2017 Seat Toledo Mark IV facelift. But yeah, so they have gone from 3% in the market to 1.5. Number of cars sold has massively declined from 5,700 to 2,200. Their market share has dropped by 62%. Skoda, a brand within, again, the Volkswagen empire, but one that does generally a lot better in this country than Seat, and the sales figures do bear this out. Now, they've gone down by 31%, but their market share hasn't crashed so much at all, really. It's only gone from 3.6 to 3.3%. Number of cars sold has gone from 6,700 to 4,700. Smart, they're really tiny, and there's not really much to say about them. They're a minority brand over here. SsangYong, though, they have not done very well, unfortunately, last month. It's a shame because they have some good cars on sale. Of course, we own a SsangYong, so maybe we're a bit biased, but they should really do a bit better than they do. It's sad that the CEO of SsangYong in this country passed away last month, in much the same way as the head of MG actually passed away last year as well. It's really sad when that kind of thing happens, and maybe that doesn't help them, but I do hope they start to increase a bit, because they only sold 109 cars last month. The market share stayed the same because last year it was about 150, and the market overall was declining, but it's still 28% down, and you know, it's probably not what we want to hear when the future of the brand is still a little bit uncertain, which is a real shame. We covered that on one of the very vlogs recently, actually. Subaru, massive crash, worse than SsangYong. Don't know why. They sell 2 models in this country, I think, now. They only sold 83 cars last month, though, down from 215 in June 2021. The market share is hard from 0.12 to 0.06. Suzuki, like a load of Japanese brands on this list, 39% decrease, 1.55% market share has gone to 1.25. 2,900 cars sold last June has now gone to 1,800. Yeah, it's 39% decrease. People ask, why are used cars so expensive at the moment? And, well, it's because new cars are expensive because they're in short supply. They can't sell enough of them because they don't have a supply. So that's it, really. Now we get onto some brands who are very big sellers in this country versus Toyota. Just under 24% decrease. Their market share, though, has gone actually up very slightly, just under 6.5%, just over 6.5%. The number of cars sold, though, has gone from 12,000 to 9,000. Vauxhall actually haven't done too badly at all. They've only decreased by about 2%. Their market share correspondingly has increased from 5.44% to 7%. And number of cars sold is actually not very different. It's about 10,100 to about 9,950. So very stable figures for some reason. Volkswagen, though, who were a huge seller in June 2021 with over 10% of the market, they've had a 40% decrease, and their number of cars sold has gone from just under 20,000 to about 12,000. The market share has correspondingly gone down to about 8.3%. Volvo, again, not great. They have gone down by 53%. The market share has gone down from 2.6 to 1.6%. Number of cars sold has gone from just under 5,000 to just under 2,300. So not brilliant. The overall kind of figures for last month in comparison to June 2021 is that there were 186,000 cars registered in June last year, whereas last month it was just over 141,000. Tesla isn't counted separately on here. There is a figure for other imports, where Tesla fits in, but yeah, it doesn't tell you the full story, so I won't actually include that in what I say. So there we are, viewers. Something for certain channel members who have expressed a real interest in this. Some of my subscribers as well, they really like this market analysis, and some of you, this is very boring and you're not interested in it, but I will continue to make these videos for the few of you out there for whom you find this as fascinating as I do. So anyway, thank you ever so much indeed for watching this episode of Top 10 Best-Selling Cars for June 2022. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. And thank you to those who watch these videos every month and find them fascinating. I suppose the rest you can skip them if you want. No big loss, I suppose. And we'll see you again soon for more penetrating market analysis.